January 12, 1969. Düsseldorf, Germany. A concert hall. Jimi Hendrix on stage. In the audience, a 23-year-old woman watches. Figure skater. Painter. Ice skating instructor. Her name is Monika Dannemann. After the show, she's invited backstage. Meets Jimi. They talk. Connect. Chemistry. That night, Monika spends the night with Jimi Hendrix. The next day, she accompanies him to his concert in Cologne. Then she returns to Düsseldorf. He continues touring. That was their beginning. A one-night stand that became something more. Or at least, that's what Monika would later claim. 20 months later, September 18, 1970, Jimi Hendrix was dead. Found unresponsive in Monika Dannemann's London apartment. 27 years old. Greatest guitarist who ever lived. Gone. Monika was the last person to see him alive. The only witness to his final hours. The only one who knew what really happened that night. Or did she? This is the story of Monika Dannemann. A woman who built her entire identity around being Jimi Hendrix's fiancée. A woman whose testimony changed constantly. A woman accused of causing his death, either through negligence or something worse. A woman who, 26 years later, would die in her car, carbon monoxide poisoning, 2 days after losing a court battle about the man she claimed to love. This is a story of obsession, jealousy, inconsistency, mystery, and death. Monika Charlotte Dannemann. Born June 24, 1945, in Düsseldorf, Germany. Middle-class family. Father was an industrialist. Comfortable upbringing. Opportunities. Monika was talented, athletic, graceful. She pursued figure skating seriously. Competed nationally. In 1965, she participated in the German Figure Skating Championships representing Düsseldorfer e.g. After retiring from competitive skating, she worked as an ice skating instructor in Germany, teaching basics and intermediate techniques to amateurs and young skaters. Stable income. Respectable career. She was also an artist. Painter. Poet. Creative. Sensitive. Looking for meaning. By 1969, Monika was in her early 20s. Established in her community. Known in winter sports circles. But not famous. Not internationally recognized. Just another talented German woman living a normal life. Then she met Jimi Hendrix. And everything changed. January 12, 1969. The Jimi Hendrix experience was touring Europe. Düsseldorf stop. Monika was invited to the concert by a friend. She watched Jimi perform. Brilliant. Volatile. Magnetic. His reputation preceded him. The greatest guitarist in the world. Psychedelic revolutionary. Cultural icon. After the show, Monika went backstage. Met Jimi. They talked. Something clicked. According to Monika's later accounts, they spent that night together. The next day, January 13th, she accompanied him to his next concert in Cologne. Then they parted. She went back to Düsseldorf. He continued touring. But here's what Monika often left out of that story. After Cologne, Jimi spent the last night of that tour with Uschi Obermeier, a German model. They were filmed kissing and petting outside the Kempinski Hotel the next morning. Publicly. Documented. No secret. Jimi had many women. Monika was one of them. Not the only one. Not even close. Still, on March 25, 1969, Jimi wrote to Monika. Invited her to visit him in New York City. She claims she went. They had a relationship. On and off. Long distance. Sporadic. How serious was it? That depends on who you ask. According to Monika, they were deeply in love. Engaged. Planning a wedding in Germany. Soulmates. Twin flames. Destined. According to others, friends of Jimi, other girlfriends, people who were actually around during this time, Monika was one of many. An occasional companion. Not a serious relationship. Certainly not a fiancé. But Monika believed it. Or at least, she chose to present it that way. For the rest of her life. By September 1970, Jimi Hendrix was exhausted. For years of relentless fame. Touring constantly. Recording. Pressure from all sides. Financial problems. Bad recording contracts. Manager stealing from him. Legal battles. Drug dependency. Chronic insomnia. He'd just completed his 1970 European tour. September 6th, final show. Returned to London in early September. Needed rest. Needed a break. But here's the complicated part. Jimi was involved with multiple women at the time. Kathy Etchingham, his long-term girlfriend from 1966 to 1969. They'd lived together in London. Serious relationship. She was the inspiration for The Wind Cries Mary and Foxy Lady. Real connection. Deep history. Devin Wilson, American girlfriend. On and off relationship. Complicated. Passionate. Volatile. Kirsten Neffer, Danish model. Jimi had begun a relationship with her after his September tour. It was even reported in the Danish press that they were engaged. She left London for work in mid-September. And Monika Dannemann, who Jimi reconnected with after Kirsten left. September 15, 1970. Monika arrived at the Cumberland Hotel where Jimi was staying. They drove to her apartment at the Samarkand Hotel, 22, Lansdowne Crescent, Notting Hill. Jimi would spend the next 4 nights there. The last 4 nights of his life. September 15th to 17th, 1970. Jimi at Monika's flat. According to Monika's accounts, these were blissful days. They talked about their future, marriage plans, creative collaborations. She would become his creative partner. They were happy, in love, planning a life together, but other witnesses tell a different story. Multiple people reported seeing Jimi and Monika fighting. Arguments fueled by jealousy. Monika was possessive, clingy. Jimi was spending time with other people, fans, friends, musicians. Monika didn't like it. On the afternoon of September 17th, photographer friends took the last known photos of Jimi Hendrix. In the garden of the Samarkand Hotel. He looks frail, exhausted, almost dwarfed by his own guitar. Heartbreaking images. That evening, September 17th, Jimi went to a party. He took at least one amphetamine pill, known as a black bomber, at the party. Stayed for a short while. Then things get murky. Conflicting accounts. Different timelines. Monika's story versus everyone else's. According to Monika, Jimi returned to her flat around 8 p.m. They had dinner. She cooked tuna fish, though Kathy Etchingham later insisted Jimi hated tuna and would never have asked for it. They drank wine. White wine with dinner, Jimi drinking more than Monika. Then they talked. For hours. About their future. About magic, miracles, his message of love, peace, and freedom. Deep spiritual conversations. Around 4 a.m., Jimi expressed interest in taking some of Monika's Vesparax sleeping tablets. Strong prescription sleeping pills. German pharmaceutical. The normal dose was half a tablet. Monika claims she tried to dissuade him. But Jimi insisted. He couldn't sleep. Chronic insomnia. Desperate for rest. According to her testimony, Jimi took 9 tablets. 9 full tablets. 18 times the normal dose. Monika says she didn't realize how strong they were. Says Jimi didn't know. Says it was an accident. They went to bed. Lay awake talking until 7 a.m., according to Monika. Then they fell asleep. Around 9 a.m., Monika woke up. Jimi was unconscious. Unresponsive. But still breathing. She claims she thought he was just sleeping deeply. Didn't panic. Didn't call an ambulance immediately. Instead, and this is crucial, she called friends. Judy Wong. Alvinia Bridges. Asked them to come over. She needed help. Why call friends before calling an ambulance? Monika never adequately explained this. Kathy Etchingham's theory. Monika was cleaning up drugs from the apartment. Making sure there was no evidence. Protecting herself before seeking help. 11:18 a.m. Monika finally called an ambulance. 2.5 hours after finding Jimi unconscious. The ambulance arrived at 11:27 a.m. 9 minutes later. And here's where Monika's story completely falls apart. According to the ambulance crew and police officers who arrived at the scene, Jimi Hendrix was alone in the flat when they arrived. No one else was there. Jimi was fully dressed. Not in bed. Not in pajamas. Fully clothed. Jimi was dead when they arrived. Not breathing. No pulse. Already gone. There was nothing they could do. The flat was empty. Monika was not there. Police officer Tom Keene stated clearly, "I remember quite clearly the doors shutting on the crew and Jimi. There was no one about. If she had been in the flat, they would never have called us to come." In 1992, the London Ambulance Service issued an official statement. There was no one else, except the deceased, at the flat when they arrived, nor did anyone else accompany them in the ambulance. Monika was not there. Monika did not ride in the ambulance. Monika's entire account of staying with Jimi, accompanying him to the hospital, all of it, contradicted by official records. So where was Monika? Why wasn't she there when the ambulance arrived? Nobody knows. She never explained. The autopsy revealed massive amounts of barbiturates in Jimi's system. 9 Vesparax tablets, just as Monika claimed. But here's what was strange. Jimmy's lungs were full of red wine. Not vomit. Wine. As if he'd been drowned in it. Or as if wine had been poured down his throat while he was unconscious. Dr. John Bannister, the physician who attended to Jimmy, said, "The amount of wine that was over him was just extraordinary. It was the most horrifying thing. Official cause of death: asphyxiation through aspiration of vomit due to barbiturate overdose. Accident." But Dr. Bannister later stated that homicide was definitely plausible. The question nobody could answer: how did someone accidentally ingest 9 sleeping pills? How did that much wine end up in his lungs? And why did Monika's testimony keep changing? In the days and weeks after Jimmy's death, Monika gave multiple interviews. Her story changed each time. First, she said Jimmy took 9 sleeping pills. Then she wasn't sure how many. Then she said he must have taken more after she fell asleep. First, she said she was with him when the ambulance arrived. Then official records proved that was false. First, she said they talked until 7 a.m. Then witnesses at the party said Jimmy didn't leave until much later. He couldn't have been at her flat at 8 p.m. like she claimed. First, she said Jimmy was still alive when they left in the ambulance. Then the ambulance crew confirmed he was already dead when they arrived. Inconsistency after inconsistency. Contradiction after contradiction. By 1975, the 5th anniversary of Jimmy's death, Monika escalated her claims. In a press interview, she asserted that Jimmy had been murdered. Mobsters poisoned him. Organized crime. Conspiracy. She wrote a book, The Inner World of Jimi Hendrix, published 1995. In it, she claimed they were engaged, planning to marry. She was his spiritual partner, his muse, his soulmate. She dismissed the coroner's verdict, promoted murder conspiracy theories involving manager Mike Jeffrey, claimed Jimmy was forced to ingest pills. No forensic evidence. No proof. Just her word. The book was filled with factual discrepancies, contradictions, self-serving narratives. Critics called it unreliable, sensationalist, fantasy. Kathy Etchingham had had enough. Kathy, Jimmy's actual long-term girlfriend from 1966 to 1969, watched Monika build an entire career on being Jimmy's fiancée. Watched her give endless interviews, write books, attend Hendrix-themed events, profit from his death. In the early 1990s, Kathy launched her own investigation, contacted ambulance drivers, police officers, witnesses, built a 34-page dossier, submitted it to Scotland Yard. Her findings: Monika's testimony was full of holes, inconsistencies, lies. The ambulance crew confirmed. Flat was empty when they arrived. Jimmy was dead. Monika was not there. Witnesses at the party confirmed. Jimmy left much later than Monika claimed. He went back to Monika's flat unwillingly, only to retrieve a guitar he'd left there, afraid Monika would destroy it if he didn't come back. Friends confirmed. Monika and Jimmy had been fighting. Jealousy. Arguments. Tension. Kathy's theory: Monika knew if Jimmy left that night, he'd never return. So she somehow got him to take the sleeping pills. Maybe tricked him. Maybe forced them down his throat. Then panicked when he wouldn't wake up. Called friends to clean up evidence before calling an ambulance. By the time help arrived, it was too late. Manslaughter. Negligence. Not premeditated murder. But not innocent accident either. Kathy couldn't prove it. But the evidence pointed that direction. The war between Monika and Kathy escalated throughout the 1990s. In her book, Monika called Kathy an inveterate liar, accused her of introducing Jimmy to drugs, blamed her for his death. Kathy sued for libel. The case was settled out of court in 1992. Monika agreed not to repeat the defamatory statements, but she couldn't help herself. In media interviews, Monika repeated the libel, called Kathy a liar again, publicly, defiantly. Kathy took her back to court, this time for contempt of court. April 3, 1996. High Court ruling. Monika Dannemann found guilty of contempt, ordered to pay substantial court costs, fined, financial difficulties, legal humiliation, public disgrace. Monika's carefully constructed identity, Jimi Hendrix's fiancée, was crumbling. 2 days later, April 5, 1996, Monika Dannemann was found dead. But let's go back. To understand Monika's death, we need to understand her life after Jimmy. During the 1970s, Monika began a relationship with Uli Jon Roth, German rock guitarist, virtuoso, classically trained. He'd made a name for himself with the Scorpions, who were gaining international prominence. In some ways, Uli was a successor to Jimi. Brilliant guitarist. Innovative. Pushing boundaries. The connection must have felt cosmic to Monika. Like Jimi's spirit was guiding her to another guitar genius. Uli and Monika were together for 17 years. A real relationship. Deep. Creative. Collaborative. They worked together on music. Uli wrote, "We'll Burn the Sky." With Monika's collaboration, it became a Scorpion staple, still performed at concerts today. Monika designed album covers for Uli's post-Scorpions band, Electric Sunday. Her paintings. Her artistic vision. Her creativity. Uli wrote the foreword to Monika's book, The Inner World of Jimi Hendrix. He believed in her, supported her, saw Jimi's spirit flowing through her. There was something of Jimi's spirit in her, Uli said. He told her about his music and its message. There was no one that he told as much to as he told Monika. And that made some people very, very jealous. He was the most important and revolutionary artist of the 20th century. Uli believed Monika's version of events. Believed she was Jimi's fiancée. Believed in her spiritual connection to Jimi. Or maybe he was just in love with her. And love makes you believe things. Either way, Uli John Roth gave Monika 17 years of partnership, creativity, support, a life beyond Jimi Hendrix. But even with Uli, Monika couldn't let go of Jimi. Time had stopped for her in September 1970. Everything else, her painting, her poetry, her relationship with Uli, was filtered through the lens of Jimi Hendrix. She painted portraits of Jimi constantly. Psychedelic, surreal, cosmic, shamanic imagery. Every canvas was a shrine. Her art reflected the late 1960s counterculture. Vibrant colors, mystical themes, music as spiritual experience. Some of her work conveyed love, loss, longing, the emotional bond she claimed to share with Jimi. But critics noted something unsettling. Monika's art was stuck in 1970. Her style never evolved, never moved forward. Like her life, her art was frozen in the moment Jimi died. By the mid-1990s, Monika's situation was precarious. The legal battle with Kathy Etchingham was draining her financially. Court costs were mounting. She'd already settled one libel suit in 1992. Now she was facing contempt charges for violating that settlement. Her book, The Inner World of Jimi Hendrix, had not sold well. Critical reception was largely negative. Music publications called it sensationalist, unreliable, biased. Serious Hendrix biographers, Harry Shapiro, Charles R. Cross, John McDermott, dismissed her account as fantasy, contradictory, self-serving. She attended Hendrix-themed events, but her presence was increasingly controversial. Some people welcomed her as Jimi's last companion. Others saw her as an opportunist profiting from his death. Kathy Etchingham's investigation had damaged Monika's reputation. The inconsistencies in her testimony were now public knowledge. The ambulance crew's statements contradicted her story. Police records contradicted her story. Witnesses contradicted her story. And now, in 1996, the High Court had ruled against her, found her guilty of contempt, ordered her to pay costs she couldn't afford. The facade was crumbling. The myth she'd built, Jimi Hendrix's devoted fiancée, was being exposed as potentially false, or at least greatly exaggerated. Her entire identity was under attack, and she had no defense except her word, which nobody believed anymore. April 5, 1996. Seaford, East Sussex, England. Monika's home. She was found in her Mercedes-Benz. In the garage, fume-filled, a hose connected from the vehicle's exhaust pipe to the car's interior. Carbon monoxide poisoning. Age 50. Ruled suicide. But Uli John Roth, her partner for 17 years, guitarist from Scorpions, believed she was murdered. Said she'd received numerous death threats regarding Hendrix's death. Said she wouldn't kill herself. Said someone silenced her. No investigation. No evidence of foul play. Official verdict, suicide. Monika Dannemann died 2 days after losing a court battle about a man who'd been dead for 26 years. A man she'd spent one night with in January 1969. A man she'd seen sporadically over 18 months. A man who had multiple other girlfriends. A man who never publicly acknowledged her as his fiancée. But Monika built her entire life around him. Her identity, her career, her purpose. When that identity was challenged, when the court ruled against her, when the lies were exposed, when the facade crumbled, she had nothing left. Or at least, that's one interpretation. The other interpretation, someone wanted her silenced. Just like Devin Wilson. Just like Mike Jeffrey. Everyone connected to Jimmy's death, dying under suspicious circumstances. We'll never know which version is true. So what really happened on September 18, 1970? Did Jimi Hendrix accidentally overdose on sleeping pills he didn't know were strong? And Monika, panicking, called friends before calling an ambulance, wasting precious time? Or did Monika, jealous, possessive, afraid of losing him, trick or force him to take the pills, then realize her mistake too late, then cover it up by cleaning the flat and changing her story? Or was it something even darker? Murder by manager Mike Jeffrey? Mobsters? Intelligence agencies? And Monika was either complicit or a convenient scapegoat. We don't know. Can't know. The only witness is dead. And she told so many different versions of the story that we can't trust any of them. What we do know, Monika's testimony was inconsistent, contradictory, self-serving. She was not at the flat when ambulance arrived, despite claiming she was. She waited over 2 hours to call an ambulance after finding Jimmy unconscious. She called friends first, possibly to clean up evidence. Jimmy was fully dressed when found, contradicting her claim they'd been in bed. The amount of wine in his lungs was extraordinary and unexplained. 9 sleeping pills is not an accidental dose. Someone gave him those pills. And 2 days after a court ruled against her, Monika died. There's one more tragedy in this story. For 26 years, 1970 to 1996, Monika Dannemann built her entire identity around being Jimi Hendrix's fiancée. She spoke to newspapers, biographers, historians, documentarians. She attended Hendrix-themed events. She painted portraits of him, wrote poetry about him, collaborated with Uli Jon Roth on songs inspired by him. It's been said that for Monika, time stopped the day Jimmy died. She portrayed him as a shamanic figure, mythological, spiritual powerhouse, drug-free demigod, serene, perfect. But that wasn't Jimmy. That was her fantasy, her creation, her myth. Kathy Etchingham, who actually lived with Jimmy for 3 years, painted a different picture. Troubled, drug-abusing, human, brilliant but flawed, real. The contrast between the two women was stark. Monika frozen in the past. Kathy moved on with her life. But Monika couldn't let go, wouldn't let go. Her entire sense of self was tied to this relationship that may have been far more casual than she claimed. And when that identity was challenged, when Kathy's investigation exposed the inconsistencies, when the court ruled against her, Monika had nothing left. She was 50 years old. No career. No family of her own. No identity separate from Jimmy's fiancée. Just a woman who'd spent one night with a rock star in 1969 and built a lifetime around it. Tragic. Whatever the truth about September 18, 1970, that part is undeniably tragic. September 18, 1970. Jimi Hendrix died. 27 years old. April 5, 1996. Monika Dannemann died. 50 years old. The truth about his death died with her. If she knew it. If anyone knew it. What we're left with is mystery, inconsistencies, questions without answers. Was Monika Dannemann Jimi Hendrix's devoted fiancée who watched him accidentally overdose and panicked? Or was she a jealous girlfriend who caused his death through negligence or something worse? Or was she just one of many women in Jimmy's life who happened to be there at the wrong time and got caught up in a tragedy she didn't fully understand? We'll never know. But one thing is certain. Monika Dannemmann's story, whatever the truth, is a cautionary tale about obsession, identity, and what happens when you build your entire life around someone else's legend. Time stopped for Monika the day Jimmy died. And 26 years later, when the legend she'd built was challenged, time ran out completely. 2 deaths. 2 mysteries. One tragic, unavoidable conclusion. Some questions will never be answered. Some truths will never be known. And some people can't survive the destruction of their own myths.